Today I wanted to do something a bit different and make kind of like a restrictive challenge for myself. So here are the rules. I have only 12 shots. I have to use and show all of the shots, no deleting them. I have set my camera to ISO of 100 so I can only play around with the shutter speed and the aperture. Gotta choose which lens we're gonna use, if it's gonna be the kit lens or my 50mm lens. We're gonna use the cap to like a coin that flips to choose which one I'll be using. So I have changed my lens to the 50mm and let's start shooting. Why don't we start right over here? This one would be a pretty easy win because of the reflections, but also here we have some pretty cool scenery as well. So we're gonna look around and see what we can do. Now we are at 9 or 8 photos. So we'll keep going and let's explore a different area. I am at my last photo. And my battery is running out really quick as well, so I have to be quick and take the photo and then we'll go back and look at them together. So I'm done with the photos and I'm gonna be heading out. The last photo actually surprised me. That was kind of not expected, but yeah, there are some few surprising ones that I didn't really plan for. That's the beauty of photography. Hello friends, now we're back in the studio and this was a really fun experiment and I did change up the rules a little bit. I allowed myself to make kind of duplicates on photos, so I'm gonna show you the unedited version of them and then right after the edited one. My thoughts on the process itself. It really made me think and I had to pause right before taking each photo and actually think about the photos way more, considering do I want to take that photo or maybe I can get something a little bit better. So let's get started with the first image. In the first image we have this really nice reflection going on with the field and the water. The highlight look a bit blown out, but that's on purpose because I wanted the exposure to be kind of overexposed, so I can have a bit of a contrast between the very dark ground and have the sun reflecting in the puddles, so it would give way more punch, contrast, a bit more dimension to the photo. For the edited version, I chose to go with the black and white theme because there's a lot of contrast. It's something that black and white can actually accentuate and add even more drama to the photo. So that's the first image. For the second image, I wanted to try something a bit different, so I went on a really low angle and tried to capture the scenery and the houses in the distance, but adding in the pond that's in front of the image as kind of a leading element that draws attention a bit towards the upper part of the image. For the edited photo, I went with a kind of retro feel with a film grade Kodak style with first highlights and a bit of... So that's the second photo. Moving on to the third photo, I love how there are kind of sections of the photo. There's the front part and it's split by this puddle that's going through the field. There's another part of ground, and then there's this lighter yellowy color that comes from the grass that has stayed up on the field, and it splits into the tree line. I went for the black and white edit again, just to increase the contrast and accentuate the different layers of foreground. So this is the third photo. This was a big surprise for me as well. Maybe some coincidences happen or I don't know, but this is the fourth photo is the best photo out of all of them. Doing this exercise was just worth for this one photograph. So a little bit of a story time. I was walking around my neighborhood, and in the neighbors there lives this really old lady. She's a beekeeper, and she never wants to take a photo. She has always refused to take a portrait. You know how old people are, they say they didn't look good, they don't need it, and you know. But today a miracle happened and I was able to take a photo of her. This is one of those candid portraits that really resonates with me, because I have always loved taking photos where people aren't posing, because for me at least, when you make someone pose, you make them do something a bit unnatural, and you can't really get that spark where you catch them off guard and they are truly in the moment and themselves. Whenever you try to make someone pose, they kind of put up a front, and if you can catch that slight little moment where they don't notice, you can snap a really good portrait. But I did create a black and white variant as well. This photo really made me happy that I was able to take it. And I think it's really good to do this also as a documentary photography. This one is the one that I am really happy about. Going along with that one, I did bend the rules a bit. It's a set of 3. I have this thing where I like to make sets of 3 with photos. Then I took this one when she was standing by the house by a doorway, and it really adds a lot of character. And for the photo where the lady is walking away, I really like the contrast between the light side and the dark side, and the haziness of the part of the light, which accentuates the dark silhouette. So the next 2 photos could also work as a landscape pair. Both of them have this element of reflections and water. I can try to really add layers to the landscape. So we have a bit of trees going on here, a bit of foreground action with the foliage, and also the water reflections. For the next photo, I tried to create kind of a natural frame with the hedging makes kind of like a triangle thing in which the tree can sit in. And I think it's a pretty cool kind of way to frame up the subject, but I think I missed the focus a bit on the tree. So some things are slightly off focus, but that makes the photos a bit more unique. It's important to remember that not all of the photos need to be that sharp, and they can have a bit of a blur as well. For this next photo, I tried to capture a bit of details in the house, because the sky was very clear and the chimney really stood out on the blue sky. You can see there is a bit of soot on the very top of the chimney, which is from burning firewood, and it adds a bit more character. And also you can see a lot of kind of little moss and imperfections in the roof itself. This photo was also inspired kind of by minimalism and the ability to differentiate between shadow and light, also adding in contrast. I wanted the shadow to shine upon the wood, not to be directly just a leaning ladder on a tree, but if the shadow casts on the tree, it adds more texture, a bit more drama, and a bit more interest to the shot as well. So I framed it up from the side a bit too, made it a bit darker, so it can have a bit of a focus. And we are getting really close to it, and now only 3 photos left for this one. We also have a pretty standard landscape, but for the last 2, I really lucked out on the last one of this set. Not as much as I did with the portrait, but still, I lucked out. This one was a bit only work from the perspective side, because you can see this tiny little cloud in the sky right above the electrical poles. I try to maneuver myself in such a way that you could actually get the little tiny cloud onto the tip of the poles coming together, so it would kind of frame up the cloud as the main focus point of the image. So these are gonna be the last two photos of the set. Here we have another landscape, but in this one the sun is starting to set a bit, so it adds a really cool warm tone to the whole photo, making it kind of a sunsetty vibe, which I do actually like a lot. The water looks bluer, the reds and the oranges look vibrant, and I like it. It's a nice, one of the nicest landscapes from the photos I took. And we have reached the last photo of the set, and this one also did teach me something, because I was going for a really bad photo. It would have been basically a stump and like 3 pieces of wood leaning on it. It was my last shot, and yeah, and I heard the birds coming, and I stopped myself, and I waited for the perfect moment when the flock of birds would be right above me, and I had only one shot left, so I kind of prayed that I would get the framing right, and I did. I got the U shape of the birds flying together, and this is the unedited version, where it's a bit harder to see them and there is not as much warmth from the sun, but when I edited the photo I managed to recover a bit of that warm summery spring vibe. This is a photo that I had to wait for. It taught me a bit of patience when it comes to not rushing your photos as much. So in the end of it all, I do not regret doing this exercise, and I would highly encourage you to do the same. Just set a certain amount of photos that you can take, go on a walk, try to focus on the composition. Don't think all of the photos will be perfect, because of these only a few ones were good and only 3 were really great. Maybe it was fate, maybe it was coincidence, I don't know. But what I do know is if I hadn't gone out to take some photos and had the intention of taking photos, I would have not got any of them. When you go out and about, grab your camera, set like 10-12 photos as a limit, think about a composition, maybe you will meet someone on the way and take a photo. I'll see you guys in the next video.